Hello everyone, welcome back to the Traxion YouTube channel. Welcome to Road America for this iRacing Touring Car Challenge track guide. Now, the touring cars and Road America seem the perfect match. I have had an absolute blast driving around here this week, and fingers crossed the racing is going to be spectacular. Although momentum and corner speed has never been so important. More about that when we get into the track guide. So if you followed my track guides before, you'll know that they are not a place for hot laps. It's a slow, methodical approach where we talk about my braking markers, my reference points, and the little quirks that each circuit has. So as usual, I will show you a flying lap in full. Then we'll jump in the car, do a few laps, and show you those braking markers and reference points in action. And then at the end, we'll talk about pit entry, pit exit, and where I think you might be able to overtake here at Road America. Enough talking, let's get on track. So here we are then on the main start finish straight here at Road America. So as usual, we've set the sim time to match the official series. So it's the 23rd of April 2022 and the time in the sim is 1:20 p.m. We're also using the iRacing sprint setup, which is what is used in the official series. Track temperature right now, as you can see on screen, nice and toasty, 47 degrees Celsius, exactly the same as it was in the flying lap that you've just seen. And brake bias this week, we've gone way down to 41.6%. Now, we need that low brake bias to get the car stopped in the heavy braking zones. But we're not braking that heavy everywhere else. We are trail braking. But in this guide, it's all about momentum. And it's all about getting the car nice and settled. And a lower brake bias means that we don't have to brake as hard to get the car stopped. And it means that we can get the car nice and settled. So Road America this week, it is going to be all about momentum. It's all going to be about keeping that corner speed as high as we can, because whatever speed we carry through the corner extra, well, we're going to carry that down the long straights here at Road America. So turn number one, we're going to be approaching it 6th gear down on the left hand side, and we're going to be braking just before the second set of cones. So there's the 4, then there's the 3. So we're going to be going down to 5th, down to 4th. We're going to be braking hard initially, but we're going to be bleeding off. And we're going to concentrate on just releasing that brake pedal nice and slowly as we're turning in. And if we do that, then the car will be nice and settled at the apex for us to get on the gas. So 4th gear, and then we're going to be going down to 3rd gear. We're going to be taking quite a bit of this inside curb and get on the gas at the apex. Let the car run all the way at wide. If it does understeer on exit, a little short shift to 4th should prevent it from wheel spinning and understeering. Same with turn number 3. So this is turn number 2 apparently. Turn number 3, we're going to be braking hard initially and then really, really smoothly releasing the brake pedal. So you can see a white line across the circuit there. You'll see that. You will notice it when you start lapping. It does come past really quickly, but that's going to be your marker for braking for turn number 3. And again, we're going to be braking hard initially, but then just releasing the brake nice and smoothly. Think about the front of the car. It's loaded when you're braking, and we don't want to release the brake so it bounces up. We want to be releasing the brake slowly so the front of the car comes up nice and slowly, and those front tyres are in contact with the road surface as much as they possibly can be. So we're going to be 3rd gear for turn number 3, and we're going to be again releasing the brake smoothly, trying to keep the corner speed to a maximum. And again, at the apex, we want to be on the accelerator, use this run off on exit, and then the run down to turn number 5, which is going to be one of the overtaking places here this week at Road America. So stay to the right of the circuit, and as we approach turn number 5, we're going to be moving into the centre of the circuit, and we're going to be aiming for the braking zone at an angle, kind of at this angle, and the braking marker here is just before the number 2. So we're going to be approaching, you can see there, we're approaching it at an angle, and we're going to be down to 2nd gear for turn number 5. We're going to be braking turn number 2, we're going to be hard on the brakes in a straight line, get your right tyres just over the curb on the right, and we're going to apex this one quite late, because we want the speed coming out of the turn for the run up to turn number 6. Use all of this on exit. Up to 3rd gear, and we're going to be braking just before the crest, nice and smoothly. Again, releasing it gently, down to 2nd. Get on the gas at the apex. Use all of this on exit. Up to 3rd, and then a short shift to 4th. And just around here, we're going to be partially lifting off the throttle, taking a bit of that curb on the right and back on the gas. And then again, there's another white line that you need to look out for. Turn number 8. You can see the 2 board. It's just parallel with the 2. You can see it just there. Again, we're going to be braking just before there. We're going to be braking a straight line all the way down to 2nd. Again, release that brake pedal nice and smoothly, because we want to get on the gas really early. You can't get on the gas if there's no weight on the front end, because in these cars it will just wheel spin. So accelerate, keep accelerating all the way up to 4th. Nice tight line, keep accelerating. When you get to this area here, you can see there's a worn patch of grass on the right hand side there. That's when we're going to lift and a little bit of brake just to put the weight of the front of the car, and then pick the 2nd apex back up. Keep accelerating round up to 5th gear. And then the kink, lap 1, you're going to have to lift quite a lot, lap 1, because there's not much grip on the tyres. But you want to be approaching it with your tyres on the curb on the right, left-hand side, and we don't want to be looking at the curb on the left. We want to be looking at the apex. So draw your attention to that apex, and you're going to be turning in quite a bit earlier than you think here. If you're used to driving GT3 cars around here, your turning point's usually around about at the end of the curb. Well, we want to be turning in before there. And again, it's a little partial lift, not much, maybe taking 30-40% off, but keep the throttle on, keep accelerating around, then up to 6th gear as we go down the straight down to turn number 12. On the left hand side of the circuit, we're going to be braking just before the 3, and again we're going to be braking quite hard initially in a straight line, down to 3rd, then down to 2nd, off the brakes nice and smoothly, accelerate at the apex, use this on exit. Now for turn number 13, we want the right tyres on the curb on the right, and again it's another partial lift, only very, very momentarily, and then back on the accelerator. The car will run out wide over here, and then want the car back over to the left. Now as we approach the final turn, turn number 14, you can see there's a definite change in the road surface there. It's a darker area. Well, we're going to be braking in that zone there, in that darker area, and we want the car over to the left hand side because we need to open up the final turn as much as we can. And this is probably the most important turn for me on the circuit, or where you need to get the best exit, because preceding this is a long straight where you're just going to get mugged off if you don't get a good exit. So third gear, we're going to be braking, and then we're just going to be off the brakes nice and gently, and then get on the gas just before the apex. The car will run out wide, and if you've got it right, then you're onto a winner up this straight, either for keeping your position or making an overtake. Right, we'll start to pick up the pace a little bit now. So left hand side of the circuit, the second set of cones, the 3 cones, we're going to be braking just before there and thinking about releasing the brake pedal nice and gently. That's what we want to be focusing on. So down the gears nice and smoothly off the brakes, and if you do that, then you've got loads of grip on the front tyres. Same story with turn number 3. Looking for that white line, there it is. Again, nice and smoothly off. You can see my telemetry, it just drops off nice and gradually. If you just lift off the throttle, the front end bounces up, and the front tyres only like to do one thing at a time. They like to steer, they like to accelerate, or they like to brake. If you're trying to do more than one thing, you've got to make some compromises. So we're going to be braking at the 2, hard, in a straight line, right tyres over the curb, down to second gear, turning quite late, get on the gas at the apex, use all of this on the exit, and before the top of the hill, before the crest, we're going to be braking smoothly. And just think about the corner speed through here. That's all you want to be doing. And here, short shift to 4, and then it's going to be a little partial lift, and then back on. You can see I didn't lift completely. And then we're looking for the 2 where that white line is. Again, we're going to be braking just before there. Nice and smoothly off, and get on the gas. I was a little bit jumpy there with the brake. So keep accelerating around here up to 4th. There's the one piece of grass there, so we're just going to be on the brakes a little bit, and then accelerate, pick up this second apex. Bit of understeer there, tyres line up to temperature. Here, tyres on the curb on the left. Look for your apex. A little partial lift, and back on the accelerator. You can get your wheels on the grass there, it's fine. As long as it's not too much, you won't get off track. And then we're going to be braking just before the 3. Again, thinking about releasing that brake pedal nice and smoothly. And then you can get on the gas at the apex. It's all about getting on the gas as early as you possibly can. And you can only do that when your car's nice and settled. So partial lift and back on. And again, we're looking for this darker piece of tarmac. We're going to be braking in here. Releasing the brake nice and smoothly. Get on the gas just before the apex. And that's a steady lap. Right, we'll do one more. We'll try and pick up the pace a little bit. This is going to be a slow lap. See if we can get into the 22s. Or 21s ideally. Not easy when you're talking though. Right, so we're looking for the second set of cones. Just before there, we're going to be braking. Off the brake, nice and smooth. And get on the gas at the apex. Short shift to 4th because it was starting to understeer there. So looking for that line across the road surface. There it is. Again, nice and smooth off. Which means you can get on the gas nice and early. As long as your car's settled. Sorry to be banging on about that, but that's really, really important this week, is corner speed. If you don't have that corner speed, then you're going to struggle. If there was one thing I was going to practice this week, that would be it, is releasing the brake nice and smooth. So aiming for the 2. We're braking, right tyres over the curb on the right hand side. Get on the gas at the apex there. Car will run out wide. Here just before the crest, we're going to be braking, down to second. Try and think about that corner speed. Try and keep that up. Whatever corner speed extra you carry, you're going to carry that down the straight, which is where you need it. And the white line by the 2, just before there, we're going to be braking down to second. Nice and smooth release of the brakes. That's a bit better. They keep accelerating around here in 4th. Look for the one piece of grass. There it is. So off the gas and then back on it to pick up the second apex. Here, left tyres on the curb, and we're going to look at the apex. Nowhere else. We're going to look at the apex where we want to be. As a rule of thumb, if you look where you want to go, your car will follow. You don't want target fixation on the grass, that's for certain. So car over to the left, just before the 3. We're going to be braking hard down into second gear. And get on the gas at the apex. Better. The right tyres on the curb. Partial lift here. Then back on it. And then in the braking zone, in this darker piece of tarmac, we're going to be braking nice and smooth off. And then you can get on the gas before the apex. There we go. So this is going to be a 21, I think. 21 something. A bit slower than our flying lap. But I've been blabbering on as we've been going round. That's a steady lap. A 2:21.7. It's not a million miles away. There's a bit more time to be had. And it's all about getting that perfect lap. But because it's such a long lap, it's hard to be consistent every single lap. But that isn't going to be a million miles away. Right, let's talk about pit entry, pit exit. So pit entry, pit exit at Road America, really straightforward. So just as you come out of the final turn, turn number 14, the pit entry is on your right hand side. The only thing I will mention here is if there is somebody behind you and you do want to pit, make sure that your exit of turn number 14 is really tight and you're on the right hand side of the circuit. The last thing you want to be doing is finding yourself here in this position when you need to get over there and there is somebody on your right. So make sure that when you come out of the final turn that you're on the right hand side. So pit speed limit here, I think 72 kilometers an hour. Yeah, it is. So we're braking here on a flying lap. Round about here, just at the top of the hill. Round about there, we're going to be hard on the brakes. Pit limiter on down to 72 kilometers an hour. Pretty straightforward pit entry. So pit exit at Road America is really good as well. You've got the green cone there just on the left hand side. And the actual pit lane exit is quite short, as you'll see. So we'll release the pit limiter at the green cone. And there's the blue cone there. So in theory, we could move over now if we wanted. But as always, just keep an eye on your relative. If somebody is coming round to lap you, just yield, let them go, because you're going to have to let them by anyway. Blue flag. And just try and tuck in behind them round turn 1, 2 and 3. And then try and stick with them down the long run to turn number 5. Now, overtaking this week is going to be all about the slipstream, all about momentum. But where can we make it happen? So I'm hoping there's going to be plenty of overtaking here in the touring cars at Road America. It should be really good racing. But where are we going to get it done? Well, we're going to assume, as always, that people are going to defend into the heavy braking zones or where you would expect people to defend. And we're going to drive around for the lap and talk about what we can do as an alternative and how we can try and combat their defensive driving. So, turn number 1. From experience, you can overtake around the outside of turn number 1 as long as the guy's defending, as long as you're making them defend. So they're going to be over here somewhere. They're going to be holding a nice tight line and we want to be right on their bumper, making them defend as much as we possibly can. Now, if they're approaching the turn here, well, we're going to wait until the last moment and we're going to try and move alongside. Now, if we can get alongside into turn number 1, then there's a really good chance we can hold it around the outside. Because we're taking a wider line, that means we can brake a tiny bit later. And our corner speed is going to be higher because we're on the outside. And we can get on the gas a little bit sooner. If we don't get them clear by turn number 1, well, I don't think we're going to get them clear turn number 3. But if we can hold an outside line around turn number 3, then that puts us in a really, really strong position to overtake them into turn number 5. So if you don't get the overtake done in turn number 1, don't worry. Keep at it, because we've got turn number 5, turn number 6. As long as we hold a nice tight line, we'll get it done around those 2 turns. Now, if you're racing against somebody and they are defending down here, well, what would I do? Well, I would try and get a really good exit out of turn number 5. Now, ordinarily, I wouldn't recommend overtaking into turn number 6. That's never a good thing unless you're on the inside. If you're on the inside, it's fine. I wouldn't try and go around the outside turn number 6. So we're going to be braking a little bit later because we're going to be taking a wider line and we're going to apex this one really late. So they're going to be on the left-hand side of us defending. Well, we're going to try and get a really good exit out of here. They're going to be over there somewhere. Hopefully we can switch it back and get the inside line around turn number 6. If you do, then you've probably got the overtake done. But if not, then it's quite easy to go too wide around turn number 7, and then you've got the inside line for turn number 8. Now, from turn 8 around the carousel, there's not really going to be anything happening here. Yeah, you'll see some lunges going on down here. If you can get down the outside of somebody here, use this. You might need to take an off track to stay on the inside for the carousel. But if you're on the inside of the carousel, then you can overtake them here. However, just bear in mind that after the carousel, we've got a long straight, we've got the kink, there's a good chance they might have a go back at you into turn number 12. So if you're behind somebody here, well, yeah, you can make them think you're going to go for an overtaking at the kink. I would not recommend overtaking somebody in the kink. It's pointless. But you can move your car out in there, you know, so they can see you in the mirror, then move it back in. They might go defensive. If they go defensive, great, because we're not thinking about overtaking them into the kink. We're just trying to position our car so they think we are. And if they've gone defensive, well, they've either gone on the grass or their exit's compromised, and we can get a good run on them down into turn number 12. Down the inside, perfect. But around the outside, well, yeah, if that's the way it's going to be done, go around the outside, nice and wide. And if we go around the outside here, then turn number 13, it's really difficult to hold a line around the outside around turn number 13. Although you've got to give them room, it's really difficult to hold a line around the outside there. Into the final turn, I wouldn't recommend overtaking anybody into the final turn because we've got a big long straight after it. I would much rather wait and get the slipstream and try and get them on exit and down into turn number 1. So that would be my advice this week. Round the outside, turn number 1 can be done. I've done that many times. If you don't get it done turn number 1, stick with it. Hold an outside line around turn number 3 and overtake them into turn 5 or turn 6. If you don't get them done into turn 5, if they're defending, try and apex turn 5 late and go up the inside of turn 6. I wouldn't try and overtake on the outside because you probably will end up on the grass. From turn 6 onwards, there's not really going to be anything happening. If you can get down the outside, turn number 8, and hold it, well, there's an overtaking move to be done around the carousel. If you're behind somebody around the carousel, going towards the kink, just as you approach the kink, move your car over to the right, make them think you're going to go over the overtake, give them something else to think about apart from the apex at the kink. But we're going to move it back over our normal line and hopefully overtake them into turn number 12. So there we go. That's Road America done. Please let me know down below in the comments how you get on. What were your times before the guide and what were your times after? Did I help? Did I cover everything that you wanted to be covered in a track guide? As always, thank you for watching. Good luck. Keep it pinned.